Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hello, and good morning. Welcome to another Giver Marketing Network's Tuesday broadcast. And I am so excited today. I am Christine Deane, Team Director at Giver Marketing, but we have Daniel Knight in the house today. Oh, Daniel, I love having you on the show. Oh my goodness, we're going to have so much fun. If you have not met Daniel Knight, you are in for a treat because, oh my goodness, Daniel, those that don't know you, what do they need to know about you, your background, how you got to where you are? Because I know how awesome you are, and you've been the master of Unicorn Universe, right? So talk to us a little bit more. Tell us that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am here in Arizona. I just moved here about 3 years ago from Utah. I grew up in Utah and was pretty much raised there my whole life. Was born in Spain, though. Little fun fact, not a lot of people actually know about me. Did you not know that? No? That's funny. Well, there you go. You're learning something new about me as well. So, born in Spain, lived there till I was like 2. Spanish was my first language. And it was really funny because my mom is like a crazy grammar nut. And so she'll always like get on me about different things that I say. So just over the Christmas holiday week, I was there at her house and said something to her. I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Spanish is my first language." And she just died laughing. She's like, "Can't argue with that." But and
it's your fault, Mom.
I don't tell you. So I like to mess around. I like to joke and have fun. I always like to tell people that we at Unicorn Universe like to have fun, but we have fun doing serious business. And so that's kind of really what I'm all about. I've had a lot of different successes in so many different jobs and businesses throughout my life. But I always just like to do what feels fun and expansive and, energizes me so that I don't feel like I'm working, which works well because I work a lot. And so that's kind of what it's all about. If we can.
But I know you're big on building community is important, which is one of the reasons why I know Giver Marketing Network, why we like collaborating with you, right? Because that's really important to us too. So when we have an opportunity to collaborate and co-host things and figure out ways to work together, that the world is a wonderful place, right? Because you're right. When it doesn't feel like work, it's the best kind of work there is, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Well, so I know you've done a lot with marketing. I mean, this is one of your playgrounds that you like to play in, and marketing, referral marketing. You've done a lot of different things. Talk to us a little bit about your marketing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, I've spent a lot of my time doing marketing, either on my own or helping other people, building tools, building audiences, doing all sorts of different creative marketing strategies and things for my business and other people's businesses. And it's kind of always just been out of necessity. But also, I think a big part of it is I have a pretty out of the box thinking type of mindset. And so I'm always looking at things with that mentality of, how can these be different? How can we stand out a little bit? You go to my website and you see cartoon characters everywhere flying rocket ships around the universe, right? You get on a Zoom call with me, and here's this crazy background that I have talking about this event that I've got in March. And so I just always have kind of a pretty creative way of approaching it.
Right, creative and fun, and those go hand in hand. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on today, was to talk a little bit about events. A lot of people are going, gosh, it's the beginning of the year. Where do I get started? I want to have more impact. I want to do more lead gen. And so I thought, you know what, let's bring somebody who's been doing tons of events and really has been playing in that space for a while to kind of come in and tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you do it, give people some ideas on how to get started with events, because I think it intimidates a lot of people. So I would love to just be able to come in, pick your brain, and have you share some of your realm of knowledge with us, because I think it's really going to be valuable to a lot of people that have been intimidated at the idea of hosting events.
Yeah. Well, I will say you're not wrong to be intimidated about events, and they can be a beast. There are so many different ways that you can put on an event. The one that I'm doing in March is a 3-day convention style event. So, it's like a conference where we've got speakers, vendors, sponsors, a couple hundred attendees that we're expecting over the 3 days, entertainment, food, volunteers, affiliates, all these different things go into it. This is like, I would say, the highest risk, highest, lift type of event that you can do is a multi-day convention style event, where it checks all the boxes, right?
You just hit everybody's panic button right there. Multi-day. How many things did you just say I need to organize, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, I have templates that I use to keep track of everything, make sure that I'm on top of everything, so that, when it comes time to do the next event, I just duplicate this spreadsheet and it has all of the things that I need to complete for that. But out of the interest in keeping this focused on marketing and not going down the how to host an event,
really, events
masterclass.
are considered part of marketing. You'll see that a lot of times, event marketing, right? So it all ties together. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's somehow event related, it's somehow related to marketing.
For sure. Well, and I also just want to really emphasize the potential that hosting your own event has when it comes down to marketing, because we could go deep into the rabbit hole about all the different nuances of hosting an event, but why should you do it from a marketing perspective, I think is a critical component.
And then the other side of that, of why you should participate, even if you're not the one actually hosting it.
Yeah. Well, and again, keeping that from a marketing perspective, right? So what do you think people would rather hear? Are we more like they are event hosts or event attendees? Should we kind of go with a blend of the two?
I think we've got a balance, right? Not everybody hosts events, but I think a lot of people have thought about it, right? Okay. And I think you've got the other side where they've attended, and maybe there's people that have been thinking about, maybe I want to be more involved in someone else's event, but I don't want to necessarily take on all that responsibility and host and run it all myself, right? Maybe they want to participate on a higher level and they're not quite sure how to make that happen. I know we see things like sponsorships, like, is it worth it, right? So I think there's a whole lot of different areas to kind of explore here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, in the least, of course, the common thread is these are people who are attending events. Maybe they are doing or have done or want to do their own event, trying to determine why it makes sense from a marketing perspective and how that can be utilized to generate more attention in your business. The obvious one, if you're really just looking for eyeballs on your business and you want to get maximum exposure from leveraging events, is sponsor events. Okay. And I've been doing a lot with sponsorships over the past month or so, as we're getting closer to the event. We've pretty much always had a sponsorship deck for the events that we do. And so there's always opportunities for other companies to get involved and leverage our event as a platform to generate attention, get recognition. And so I'll give you some tips as a sponsor. What do you,
I
what's
was
on your
just thinking about, you mentioned sponsored decks and all. There's people are probably going, say what? Now, my background with working with nonprofits, right? We always have sponsorships going on. We've always got events going on. You're right. So finding fundraising is always a thing. So I'm familiar with it. But for those that aren't, do you want to give them a little bit more detail on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we'll kind of use in-person events as like the main framework here. When you do an in-person event, there are typically expenses. Not always, but if not, that means somebody's likely covering those expenses for you, which is kind of a way of looking at potential sponsors. Is you have all these expenses, how are you going to pay for them? Well, you can pay for them through ticket sales, you can pay for them through sponsorship sales, and those are two revenue drivers that, if done correctly, can actually be very profitable for the event. So, what I like to do is look at your expenses and identify categories that you could bring in a sponsor, somebody that will come in, pay you to have their name plastered all over your website, maybe on your tickets, maybe in social media and email blasts and things like that. And they're doing it because they want the attention. They want more people to know about their business, right? Think about, any Super Bowl game that you watch. You see all these logos, all these different, companies all over the place inside of the stadium. They might not be talked about, but you're seeing their logos, their sponsors, because they're looking to get more eyeballs on their brand. And so there are different tiers to this, depending on what your event is, what your goals are from a revenue perspective, and then how much time and involvement you actually want from the sponsors. There's kind of like a science behind it, because you don't just want to give all of the time you have for speakers to sponsors to speak about their business, or else it turns into just this pitch fest of companies who are out there talking about themselves and their business. You need to be able to drive value from the event, or people won't come back. People won't have good things to say about it. But depending on the involvement that you want the sponsors to have, you can actually give them time to speak on stage. So if you are looking to sponsor events, sponsoring events where they give you time to speak on stage is a really good way to increase the attention that you get. And then not only do you have recognition at the event specifically, but you also have content, ideally. This is where sponsoring events can be rather tricky, is not always do they include like a sizzle reel of your speech. Not always do they even capture it. The event hosts have a lot of different moving parts, and they might have the videographers dedicated to shooting a specific random segment of something going on in the foyer while you're up on stage giving your speech. And guess what? They're recording over here and not your speech. So you need to make sure that your speech is going to be recorded in order for you to leverage it then on social media and get even more out of that sponsorship. Right.
So you probably need to look at your sponsorship and see what that includes, right? Because you may end up wanting to have your own people come in and give you a hand here or there to maybe video something for you that you want specifically, if it's not arranged through the sponsor or through the host.
Please do. Like, regardless, even if it's contracted, you're getting footage, they're shooting it, you see the camera on you, right? The red light's blinking, that you're being recorded, right? Awesome. I still have one or two other people in the audience recording me with my cell phone and their cell phone, or mine is like posted somewhere recording it, and one or two other people recording it as well. Because guess what? You saw the light blinking, the camera's on you, but did you know that the microphone is connected to a different soundboard and they actually match the audio up? And guess what? The audio didn't work, so now you don't have audio for your thing, right? You just never know.
Technology, it fails sometimes, and sometimes it's an epic fail. So it's good to have redundancies built in, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, and from a marketing perspective, what are you doing sponsoring this event? If you're going there to get content and to get, your speech that you spent all this time and energy practicing, money if there were coaches and stuff like that involved, graphics from the slides to the call to action, all that, right? You want to make sure that you capture it. And
Right.
then
Do you have
from
any
there,
paparazzi following you around? Do you have some B-roll you can use moving forward for, promoting what you did? Right. So it's not bad to have your own people there to kind of help boost you up.
yeah, well, absolutely. And it's a two-way street when you sponsor an event. Like, you want to make sure the event company is giving you as much attention as possible through your sponsorship. So I would ask them, are you doing any email blasts about me and my company specifically? Or am I grouped in with all the other sponsors? Or are you even going to mention it and it's just, our logos are listed on the site? What is the event company doing to promote you? I can't even tell you how many times I've gone to an event and we sponsored, and that was it. Our logo was on the step and repeat, and they had a flyer, like one square image that had all of the company's logos on there, which was cool. Our logo was on the same sponsorship image as like Rolex and Bentley and some other really big companies, right? But they didn't do anything with it. So, all right, fine, right? I knew that. I knew that going into it, that based on the sponsorship package that I got, they don't do any promoting. A lot of event companies actually don't. Oddly enough, how do they sell tickets? Relationships, and that's great. But for me, if I'm sponsoring an event, I'm leveraging it. So it goes both ways, right? How much work is the event company going to do to promote you and show that you sponsored their event? Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's nothing. How much work are you going to do to showcase that you sponsored? Because guess what? When you look up that event that I sponsored with a bunch of these other companies, you find more about my company when you look up that event than most of the other sponsors, because I understand that we need to sometimes create the leverage ourselves. And so we do a lot of our own marketing. We leverage that sponsorship as a way to generate credibility, because just sponsoring an event doesn't do anything for you unless you do something for it.
Yeah,
Like,
unless you do something with it, if you're going to do something to promote it before, right? It's a great excuse to reach out to people and let them know that you're going to be participating. Hey, I'm going to be speaking
yeah,
at this, right? Hey, did you want to go? Did you want to participate? Did you want to hang out? Did you, right? And
yep,
then afterwards, right? So many opportunities to share that, break it into clips, right? All sorts of fun things, but it's really based on what you do with it. Otherwise, like you said, it just sits there. If it's just a logo on a wall, are you using it for an opportunity to do lead gen, or do you have some kind of freebie you're offering are you collecting and building your mailing list? What are you doing with it, right? So
right.
part of that is when you come into an event, really identifying what the expectations are, what they're going to do, and then help round that out with what you're going to do. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think really just like being intentional with that. Like, what is your game plan with sponsoring? If you're sponsoring an event, right? Like, how long are you promoting it after? What does your sales and marketing funnel look like? Why are you promoting it after? Who are you promoting it to? You know, and it's awesome because, really having an event that you're going to either as a sponsor or that you're hosting, like, gives you so many more reasons to talk to people. It's just, it's funny, like, anytime I have an event coming up, which feels like always, but it gives me such a solid reason to call people and just be like, "Hey, just want to reach out. I've got this event coming up. Want to let you know about it. First off, are you available?" There's a little time saving hack for you. With any event, let them know where it is and when it is, and if you can move on from that, then great. Otherwise, don't go pitching your whole event and all that only to get to the most important question last, and they say, "Oh, I can't make it because I'm here." Like, it's the worst. And also it's the best when you discover that right off the bat. It's like, oh, great. Well, we don't need to waste our time then on this.
Right. So if I was going to say, hey, so Daniel, what are you doing in March? Right. Like the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Are you going to be around? As
I'm
you see over your corner, right? It says March 6th, 7th, and 8th, right?
right.
So, why bother to go into the rest of the pitch if they're like, oh, no, actually, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be on a cruise. I'm going to whatever, right? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's all right. Well, I've got this coming up, but you know what? You can make the next one.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I wouldn't disqualify them too quickly, because some of my favorite sponsors don't even show up to the event. So they, you know, there are
Yeah, so you
options
can't
for
be there, but you want your logo there.
you might not be able to physically be there, but you can have a presence there. Would you like to know how? You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, for some of the larger companies, they sponsor, things all the time. They throw their logo on it. They may not have a representative there who may not be involved. That might be it. That donation was it. And so, or the purchase of the sponsorship spot. But for small businesses, right, where their marketing budget is a little bit more limited, right? So a lot of times they're very careful on where they want to invest their money. So what should they be looking for when they're saying, okay, I want to, now, maybe I'm not ready to host an event myself, but I want to be a sponsor in someone else's event. What key things do you think they should be looking for when they go to decide whether or not they want to be a sponsor?
Well, start with your objective. Like, what are you looking to get out of any event in general? So kind of know what that is going into it. Are you looking to get new clients? Are you looking to get attention? Are you looking to get calls booked, lead magnets download, your offer purchased, right? So start there and then kind of work backwards. Okay. So if this is my goal, then you kind of look at your cost per customer acquisition, right? And if you can speak in front of, let's say, 100 people, how many of them need to buy in order to pay for the investment, right? Or how many need to convert? Just what does that overall conversion look like? So really, like, know the numbers. Like, is it actually going to be profitable? Does it have the potential to be profitable? Um, you want to make sure that they have the right target audience in front of you and that it's actually there. A lot of event companies say they're going to do one thing and it ends up not working out that way. Trust me, I know that it's not an easy game to play, getting all of the people that are the right avatars to your event. So anyway, so make sure you have your offer, your strategy, your ROI strategy dialed in for the event. Make sure you have the right audience there at the event to present to. You're going to want to make sure you understand what all is included, from how much time you're going to be speaking, if you're speaking, if there's a booth, if there's not a booth, if you get extra tickets, if you don't get extra tickets, can you resell those tickets? All these different things. And I find having extra tickets as a really powerful to increase the status that you have as a sponsor of the event, because now you can give it to some of your top clients or prospects that you've been working on as a gift, and a way to spend extra time with them. That's a really valuable thing to do as well, because we put so much time and energy into like paid ads and email campaigns and LinkedIn automation and all these things to get one cold person on our calendar, when it's like, okay, you can use your ticket that you get with your sponsorship and invite one of your best referring clients to come with you, and they're going to put 3 really high quality warm prospects sitting right in front of you ready to do business with you. So just kind of depends on what you're looking to get out of it, but that's just a really powerful way to approach it. So really, just
great way to leverage it. I love that, Daniel. And really what you mentioned, it makes me think about what's a win look like for you, right? So what would a win at an event look like? Right?
Yeah.
And so whatever that is, if the goal is lead gen, if the goal is visibility, right? Once you figure that out, then you can kind of take the steps to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's pretty much been like my main question that I ask people. And if you're looking to sponsor events, knowing the answer to this question is, what does it look like for an event to be a good sponsorship situation for you? Like, what does that look like? Or another question you can ask is more tied to speaking, but what do the best stages look like for you to speak at? And I encourage people not to be too over the top with this and, opportunistic and hopeful, but really like speak to what you can speak to and have had experience and have had success, that you can communicate pretty clearly with people so that they can know right off the bat if their event is a good event for you to sponsor or not.
Yeah, and I'm going to add in a call to action, very specific call to action that you're looking for. Right, I see people do events or they'll attend an event, or it's like, okay, so you had a booth. What did you do to collect information from people? What did you do to lure them over to your booth? Right. So you need to have some kind of strategy rolling in on what that looks like and what you're going to do to maximize your opportunities.
Oh man, it's so important. You know, and I've seen it so many times. People show up, they have an idea, they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna network. I've got my booth. I'm gonna network and collect people's info and follow up with them." And they end up with a stack of business cards that they might follow up with, maybe they don't, but they don't have a system in place to follow up with people after the event.
Mhm.
They weren't collecting info from people that maybe would have given their info because they're busy talking with one other person, right? So, going back to the knowing how you're going to ROI as kind
Mhm.
of like the number one thing, like know that full, right? What is my
Mhm.
call to action? What am I asking them to do to take advantage of it? What am I doing on the back end if they don't? What am I doing if they don't, take advantage of it, right? Um, Super important. And then when you are looking at sponsoring an event, I think that it like probably the best starting point, I would say, to really just like outside of, time and or date, time and location is the call to action. Like, this is what I would want my call to action be. Like if I'm speaking or vending, like, do you think it would resonate with your audience? You can ask that to the event host. And honestly, and if it's a good event host, they'll tell you straight up. Um, if you give them like any sort, if you want to know it's a good event host, give them a test first. Give them something that would not resonate or just doesn't fit at all as a joke, and see if they bite on that. And be like, well, that doesn't sound like a good place for me then. No, but they should tell you, right? And And if you're looking to get sponsors filled, I would say on the flip side of that is know the answer to that question. Like, what are the types of call to action that will do really well with my audience? If you're meeting with somebody who is looking at sponsoring the event, I strongly encourage you put yourself in their shoes and look at the slot that you're thinking that they would be a good fit for. Imagine their booth being set up in the conference center and really like go through the motions of feeling them talking with somebody, feeling them delivering their speech, feeling them give their call to action. Would it actually convert? And if you don't know their call to action, guess what? It's going to be very powerful. And I do this when you get on the call and you tell them, this is what I was thinking would be a good call to action for you based on who's at the event. This is why I feel like it would be really beneficial for you to sponsor. I was looking at your business and maybe some of the things that you've done in the past or not, but just kind of based on who I know is at the event, if you wanted to do a financial pitch or not, whatever, this is what I think would work the best. If you can come at a sponsorship discussion with that ready to go, you are like light years ahead. Trust me on
Because
that.
you're helping them identify who their audience is, what resonates with their audience, and you're showing them how they can be successful by
Yeah.
sponsoring at your event. So, I mean, that's pretty much a win, right? So, if you can set them up for success, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like I would say it's a requirement. Like, especially if you haven't done events or you haven't asked, somebody to sponsor your event before, put some intentionality behind it. It doesn't take long to really just think through, okay, this time they should talk about this. This is their business. If they make some sort of offer like this, I think it would work well. Based on that, this is the sponsorship package that I think would be best for you. If that sounds good, then let's dig into it. If that's, out of the budget, we can look at, some of the other options. But yeah, trust me on that one. Like that's probably the biggest tip for anybody selling sponsorships?
Absolutely. When you think about it, if you know your audience, right? It's any kind of marketing here, right? You got to know your audience. If you come in with the right angle and explain to them, this is how it benefits you, now that you've got them thinking, right? Before, I don't want to spend money. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't, right? But if you kind of see this is how it lines up and it lines up perfectly with their goals, right? Then it just makes sense, right? So you want to make sure when you're doing a sponsorship that it meets the goals of whatever that is. So a lot of times, we put realtors and mortgage people and title people all in the same room together, right? Because they love the synergy going on there and helping each other, right? So it's a matter of thinking about who's my ideal client and how do I get in front of them, right? So those are those opportunities, great chances for sponsorship. Take advantage of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the sponsorship a lot of times can be lower end and higher end. There's a whole range usually of where you want to fall into that. In some places it's really expensive, other ones not so much. They're just kind of depends on what you're looking for. Give us an example because you've got your event coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work for what you've got going on? Because it was a Unicon, right?
Yep. Yeah, Unicon 3.
Let's use that as an example. Why not?
Yeah. So what would you like to know? Like kind of how we come up with the sponsorship?
Yeah, how'd you come up with your sponsor stuff, right? This way people can think about, oh yeah, I could see myself doing that. Or I could see whether hosting and doing that or the other side and wanting to participate, right? You give people ideas, give them real life examples.
Yeah. So a lot of it comes from just my own experience from sponsoring events. I've seen what other sponsorship decks have and offer for other people to sponsor. So a lot of it comes from that. I have been very mindful to look at how other people are putting their sponsorship decks together, what information is in there, what do people need to know in order to make a decision, and in what order. But then it really comes down to the sponsorship packages and, what are people willing to pay for in exchange for, what do they get? Right. So some specific examples. It's honestly such a tricky question because like I love it. I love business for this reason, and I love creating sponsorship packages for this reason because you get to just make it up. Like honestly, you really
That's a good example right there. Okay. When was a time which you had somebody that wanted a sponsor package, but they looked at what you had and they said, can we do something custom?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a few people do that. And I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I had somebody who was looking at, and I got to be careful here, but they were looking at a $10,000 sponsorship package. And he didn't want a table in the back of the room. He didn't want any of the extra tickets. And so, I made an exception for him because I was like, tables have a real footprint. They have an actual cost to take space at the event. I have, a limit of 30 and there's like, maybe 20 left at this point. But there's an actual limit to those, right? So if he doesn't need a table, I can offset that revenue from him with revenue from somebody else. In fact,
that you were going to give that table spot to then, right? So you can kind of package it for someone else. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that was, probably one of the ways that I kind of got custom with it. I'm really collaborative and creative when it comes to the sponsorship packages. Like if somebody wants to do something, different and unique, like I'm very open to it. I really just want this to be an opportunity for businesses to leverage Unicon. I look at it as a platform for them to generate attention or collaborations or new connections to, be clients for their services. It's really just a platform. So I'm always pretty upfront about that. Like, if there's something that you want to do that you don't see in here, let me know. I'm totally open to it. If these packages might not make sense to you and we're close or, something like that, let me know. That guy thought that he wasn't going to sponsor the event because it was out of the budget and we ended up working it out. And at the end of the day, I'm confident that we'll sell all of those tables and it'll actually probably generate more revenue. It'll be more profitable because of that deal. So that was good. So going back to like picking the packages, because I think that it's really important that you do this in the right way. And here's the thing, give people options. This is one of those opportunities where you don't want to leave a potential opportunity to sponsor out. People will sponsor the most random things. One of the first events that we did, our biggest sponsor came from somebody that was sponsoring the breakfast. They were our breakfast sponsor, and our sponsorship packages have graduated quite a bit. I want to say he paid, I don't know, $2,500 or something. And now our breakfast sponsorship is quite a bit more than that. But yeah, just a random thing. Like we have a break and snack sponsor, so you can put your logo near the break and the snack area, right? We have a lunch sponsor, so you can speak during lunch. That one's a $20,000 sponsorship. And that has a 15-minute speaking slot during lunch. And we, promote their logo and everything all over on social media. Now, with that, what I've been thinking of is getting like super specific about, okay, who would be the right kind of company that would want to speak during lunch? Like, who has something that could be like a display, something that people could kind of watch, and it could be somewhat entertaining for them while they're eating lunch. And so like just getting super specific with that has helped me get more intentional introductions to me about the potential sponsors. I'm sure you're right now thinking, oh, that gives me some ideas.
Of course.
And that's the thing though, when you're super specific like that and you can like really kind of identify like who's going to do best in that sponsorship slot, then it's more likely to get picked up. And so that's the thing, like you want to have all these different options because sometimes people will just resonate with it and want it, right? So like we have our networking mixer, you can sponsor that. We have other sponsorships for just different levels. So they range from $5,000, which is basically just you put your logo on the site, you get some promotion, we give access to the email list of all the people who registered, and then that's it. There's no speaking time or anything like that.
That's a good reminder right there to remind them, check your agreement, right? Are you going to get the list of the email list? Is it only for the people that attend your section, or is it going to be for the whole event, right? So those are good questions to keep in mind when you're looking at opportunities to sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, how do you know what all the event is giving? Look at it. But if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like all these different things that event companies that you as an event company can give or not give, like it's totally up to you. Here's the thing. The more you kind of stuff in those packages, generally, the more you can actually charge, right? So I like to give bonus tickets. I allow them to include something in the gift bag. So if they want to do like a flyer or something.
And something to go in the swag bag.
Yeah.
And not all swag is created equal.
Right.
Sometimes they take time to make them also. So you have to plan ahead. Don't be like, hey, this event's in 2 days. I need some swag. I know I was teasing my honey. He got, the koozies for keeping your drink cold. Mm-hmm. Like, because that's what I'm talking about is my CPA while I'm having a beer. Right. But so I teased him about that one, but I'm like, hey, it's your business. You do what you want to do with it. Right. But there's opportunities. Right. So, but if you're going to create some kind of swag, plan ahead, plan now. If you've never done it before, and think about what do I want to be represented and where are people going to use it? And is it going to be something they just pick up once and then throw away? Right. So
yeah.
There's options. Like one of my favorites is the little one that goes across the top for your camera, right? This way you can cover it up. So, because Big Brother's watching at all times.
Nice. Is that like
so if you had your little logo on there, every time they move that, right, subconsciously they would be seeing your logo.
Yeah, that's great.
There's cool stuff, right? So think about different ways that you want to represent your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's such a good point, and I love that idea. Yeah, like what are people actually going to use and see and take action on, right? Like going back to your goal with the event, is it brand recognition or is it take action, right? If it's take action, you're not going to want to have like that little slider thing with your logo on it. Sounds great, but like no one's going to look you up. I hate to say, they will have your logo burned into their mind and they'll never forget you. But again, what's your goal, right? So
Right. And if that's all you need, right? Because they're going to need you, right? If it's up there and it's cybersecurity, your computer breaks down. Oh, their name is right there.
there you go.
So,
Yeah,
right. So it's got to make sense. So
right.
spend some time to think about it, right? It's beyond just cost. It's beyond, right? What's the strategy? Everything should have a strategy behind it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I always like to like put myself in the consumer's shoes too. Like, okay, is this something I would actually want? Is this something I would actually do? Is this something I would actually take action on? And not only that, but think about like, is this something that I have taken action on? Like, you know, a lot of the time, like our customers are going to buy the way that we do. And so if you have found yourself for whatever reason scanning a QR code, from a flyer or a promo item that you got at an event, in a gift bag or whatever, like what are the things that actually got you to take action on? Like be mindful of that. And that'll help you when you're identifying the products for you to put in other people's gift bags.
Absolutely. I know I've got a client that does a giveaway every year and gives away, big, 50-inch, 55-inch. I think it gets bigger each year too. It seems like a TV, right? And so goes around, does the event and, has people scan to enter, right? So it's all automated. They get a response immediately. It says, thank you for entering. We're going to be announcing the winner on such and such date, right? But when you've got a big shiny object, when you're trying to compete with other booths, like you just mentioned, you had other booths there that you're going to
Mhm.
have 20, 30, right? What makes you stand out from the other booths, right? So enter to win a great big TV. Yeah. I mean, who's not going to sign up for that one, right?
Oh man, it's so important. It is so important. I've spent so much money setting up vendor booths at events and unfortunately many times walked away with nothing to show for it. No new business, very few new leads, like, the placement might have been not great. Like that placement is super key. But here's the thing. There's one thing that you can always count on when you're a vendor at a booth is your attention strategy. Like, what are you doing to get people to your booth? If you know it works, regardless of the placement, like that's key, right? You can bring people to the events that run around and go tell people to come to your booth. I've done that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
actually works. And then, man, that might be the second best to a warm referral is a warm random person at the event. Hey, so and so just told me to come here. Great. Let's get you going. Um but yeah, I love the idea of like a giveaway. Giveaways are a powerful way to do it. Those spin wheels are really
Mhm.
powerful as well because they're loud and they make noise and they have a crowd and everybody stands around and cheers if you win the cool thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's good. I, in the past, have done like music festival vendor booths where I'll bring like stage lights and my booth is flashing and blinking lights. You might think it's gimmicky, but man, does it get people's attention.
It worked.
It works like a charm. I would put up like this laser and it'd be shooting lasers out into the crowd. And I've had people come up in the middle of the show just being like, I've been looking at these lights all night long. Like, I was just curious, like, what is going on over here?
What
So,
are you doing? You're like, I would love to tell you.
yeah. Well, hey, so great. So glad you came by. Do you want to spin the prize wheel? Yes, I want to spin the prize wheel. Awesome. You get a free spin with every purchase. What do you want to buy? You know?
I love it. Well, and one of the things you mentioned earlier was about like having a collection of business cards that you got to go do something with. Really, and nowadays it makes sense to go digital when you can, right? If you've got a QR code they can scan, enter to win, that kind of stuff. Because when
Yeah.
they're putting it in at a digital format, you can read it. Because I've had people mention in the past, well, I tried that. They wrote their names down, but I couldn't read it, right? Or I couldn't read their email. If you do the typing thing, then you don't have to worry about trying to read or interpret their handwriting, right? And they're already getting that automation set up, right? Saying thank you for entering. So you've got their information. You can have things triggered already that are reminding them of things, right? So let's say it was a multi-day event. Oh, for example, March, what is that, 6th, 7th, and 8th?
Yes.
Let's say somebody comes by your booth on the 6th, right? And they enter to win. Well, now they're there and you've got something special triggered saying, hey, come back tomorrow for such and such. You get them to come back by the booth again, right? Whatever it is that you're going to, come by for a coupon for this, right? And so if you can get them to keep coming by, keep talking to you, right? So there's ways to encourage that. So you can literally have it all set up. You don't have to wait until it's something you're going to pitch them a week or two later. You don't have to pitch them anything, right? Come by for this freebie. Come say hi. Oh, this is what we've got as a photo booth. We're going to have this really cool background with such a, right? So come hang out and say hi, come take a picture, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be something that costs them money, but you get them to interact with you and come back to you. So
Yeah.
use these opportunities, especially with the multi-day. All right. So we've been hinting at your event. Daniel, tell us about your event. Okay. So who's it for? Who's going to be there? What kind of sponsors you're looking for? Because we've been talking events this whole time. Tell us about your event.
Yeah. So it is, of course, March 6th, 7th, and 8th in Scottsdale, Arizona at the W. For anybody familiar with the W, it's a super magical hotel. Picked it because it's got all of these different colors and it's just an upscale kind of abundant atmosphere, which is important for me when we pick events because I like the speakers to have high quality content and ourselves as well. So it's all focused on helping business owners who are scaling their business. They might be hitting a ceiling. They might be kind of feeling like adding more clients or growing is actually going to be more work than they want it to be. And so we have a lot of different strategies that we're going to be showcasing for people about ways that they can grow their business without adding to their workload. Think work smarter, not harder type of approach. So really for any business owner, specifically providing services for other businesses or who are in the financial services space to come and learn about different ways that they can grow their business and connect with other massive thinkers who are doing big things in the world and looking to collaborate, looking to leverage strategic partnerships. We've done a lot of that through Unicorn Universe, and that's a huge way that you can really grow your business. So we really encourage people take action at the event, and whether that's action with the new connection, action with what the speakers are talking about, or the vendors, really just make things happen and move the needle forward in their business. So it's primarily for business owners who are kind of in the mid 6 to 7 figure range. And, like I said, they're kind of hitting that ceiling, but they're looking to break through and, they're really focused on creating positive impact. So they want to know how they can do that more and identify different strategies that'll help them get there.
All right. So if we scan that little QR code right there, that'll take us to your event. We can find out more details and see how it's done Daniel Knight Unicorn Universe style.
Exactly.
I love that. And so for those that are like, I've been thinking about doing an event, or, I'm considering sponsoring an event. I'm not quite where to start with this. Daniel, are you available to have little chats with people? Just give them some advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously I have hosted a few of these events myself. I've also worked with a good number of people on their events too. And I really love the whole sponsorship discussion. It's just such an interesting way to approach hosting events. Events can be costly and they have a ton of expenses. So having sponsorships come in to support those expenses is a powerful thing to do. So I'm happy to, jam with people on their sponsorship packages, on any of the events that they're thinking about throwing, benefits of doing a 2 versus a 3-day, 1 versus a 2-day, other styles of events that might make sense for you to do. Totally down to chat with people about it and do like a strategy session, just about your event. Like, let's dig in, see what revenue opportunities you might be leaving on the table, and yeah, just give any feedback.
Yeah,
Whatever you're
that's the
looking.
worst part, is not knowing what you don't know, right? And they're like, but oh, did you want to? Oh, I didn't know that was a thing, right? So you want to talk to somebody who's been there, done that. Hop on the Daniel's calendar, but reach out to him. I've got the LinkedIn link for his profile. Go ahead and click on that. That's in the chat area. Click on that, reach out to him and say, hey, I saw you on the Giver Marketing broadcast. Would love to chat with you about events. If you want to find out more about his event, right, scan that little code. So Daniel is a great resource, and you want to take advantage of that. Tell him you saw him here. But Daniel, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with our audience just your experience with events and networking and this whole side. It's like, hopefully we've opened up some eyes of people about possibilities. Maybe a few of them are going to say, like, I've been thinking about it. I'm going to do it now. You're always a joy to have on. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Well, thank you, Christine. This has been great. I feel like we could talk for hours on this subject. So.
We really could, right? This is just kind of scratching the surface, get people thinking and moving, because, I think event strategy is a great way to go coming into 2026. People are enjoying in-person events, right? They're wanting to go places, even if you do online events, which is I tend to do more, but there's so many opportunities. So don't let hesitation stop you, right? If it's something you haven't done before, that's okay. We have people that can help talk to you about that. So I want to make sure that I point out that we have our Tuesday broadcast every Tuesday. We also, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, we have our marketing summit coming up on Tuesday, January 27th. So just mark that date on your calendar. We're going to be pushing that out here soon. And we're going to have, Daniel's actually going to be talking there too. I think we've got a dozen speakers set up at this point. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's a no cost event. We just want you to come, learn, have fun. But we are doing this every Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, of course, is networking for marketers, event people, media space. So if that's kind of your playground, PR, come hang out with us, get to know other people in the space. I find that there's always a lot of opportunity for collaborations. So let's collaborate. Let's have some fun together. There we go. Networking for marketers, Wednesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, or if you're in Texas like I am, 10. Givermarketing.com/networking, and you can come join us on Wednesdays. Look forward to seeing y'all soon. And if nothing else, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.